Grand Theft Auto 5 only had like 2 buildings you could go in, and Red Dead Redemption 2 had hundreds. I'm just kidding. Grand Theft Auto 5 did have hundreds, but Red Dead Redemption 2, it just felt like more. Know what I mean? And now, credible leaks suggest that Grand Theft Auto 6 might have over 700 explorable shops alone. Not just interiors, shops. We're not counting apartments, banks, malls, or even skyscrapers. And if this is true, that's not just a freaking upgrade, guys. Like, that is a complete reimagining of anything we thought possible, of what an open world can really be.
Should I wait outside?
No, come in.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the way Rockstar is allegedly pulling this off could change the gaming industry forever. And you've heard me talk about that in a previous video. Man, I always say that. Take a shot every time I say that. But anyways, let's get into this. So in July of 2022, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, I say that guy's name I feel like every single video, but Jason Schreier, one of the most reliable journalists in gaming, published a report confirming that Grand Theft Auto 6's world would contain more interior locations than any previous Grand Theft Auto game. That was the first official hint. Then, in September of 2022, the massive Rockstar hack, or leak, whatever, exposed 90 clips of development footage. Hidden in that leak was a document stating that Grand Theft Auto 6 would feature at least 157 interiors. And apparently, there was going to be even more than that. But the number that really set the internet on fire came later. In December of 2023, just days before the first official trailer, a 7-second clip leaked online. The person who posted it claimed to be a friend of Aaron Garbett's son. Garbutt being Rockstar North's co-studio head and a 26-year veteran at the company. In the private messages, this leaker stated that Rockstar was aiming for 70% of buildings to be enterable. 70%. To put that in perspective, if Grand Theft Auto 6's map contains even 5,000 buildings, that would mean 3,500 interiors. The claim was so absurd that most people just outright dismissed it. But then, in June of 2025, a different leaker named GameRoll, who had correctly revealed Jason and Lucia's last names 2 weeks before Trailer 2, dropped another bombshell. According to GameRoll, Grand Theft Auto 6 would feature over 700 shops that players could enter and rob, plus functional shopping malls and skyscrapers with working elevators. And suddenly, the impossible started to sound plausible. Now, as I always say, take everything I'm about to say with salt, because the game is, it's been delayed, and nothing is 100% certain until you have a controller in your hand and you are looking at the screen and you are actually seeing this happen. But we're just going off of what we know, so let's talk about that. In fact, let's talk numbers, because, well, they matter. Grand Theft Auto 5 launched in 2013 with what felt like a lack of enterable buildings. And I felt like you could really feel that in the world. There were certain interiors that I was used to going in from Grand Theft Auto 4 that I could no longer go in Grand Theft Auto 5. I was like, hey, what gives? But whatever. Out of the thousands of structures across Los Santos, Blaine County, and the surrounding areas, only a few let you actually walk in the door, even though there's reportedly hundreds of interiors. Most of those interiors were mission specific, like Michael's house, Franklin's house, and a handful of stores you could rob. The rest of the city was really set dressing. Beautiful, meticulously detailed set dressing. But ultimately, it felt kind of hollow. And I think even the fans of Grand Theft Auto 5, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto 5, but I think even the fans of Grand Theft Auto 5 can say that it felt kind of hollow. Red Dead Redemption 2 improved on this significantly, or at least it felt that way, with all sorts of interiors like saloons, general stores, hotels, train stations, homesteads, and even random cabins scattered across the wilderness. And I think it's pretty apparent when you play Red Dead Redemption 2, it feels bigger. Well, it is bigger, but it feels like there's more interiors you can go in. For a game released in 2018, that's pretty freaking impressive. That's only a 5-year difference from Grand Theft Auto 5. And I say only, we live in a time where 5 years between games isn't that much time, unfortunately. But Red Dead Redemption 2's map is also much smaller and less dense than Grand Theft Auto 6's Vice City. It's a frontier, obviously, not a metropolitan area. Now, let's look at what we know about Grand Theft Auto 6. The leaked document from 2022 explicitly states at least 157 interiors and counting. That phrase, and counting, is crucial. It means 157 was the floor, not the ceiling. And the number was from a build that's now 3 years old. Fast forward to 2025, and GameRoll claims there are 700 plus robbable stores. Even if we're conservative and assume that number is exaggerated, we're still looking at a massive leap. But here's the thing. We're not just talking about shops. We're also talking about apartments, like I said earlier, office buildings, nightclubs, restaurants, hotels, banks, gas stations, and malls. Trailer 2 explicitly showed characters inside a functioning bank, a nightclub, and what appears to be a luxury hotel. Leaked footage from 2022 showed the interior of a waffle restaurant during a heist, complete with loot mechanics and NPC interactions. And multiple sources, including GameRoll, have confirmed that some skyscrapers will even have elevators, meaning you can ride up to the 30th floor and look out over Vice City. If all of this is true, Grand Theft Auto 6 won't just have the most interiors of any Rockstar game, it'll have the most interiors of any open world game ever made. And with the supposed now $2.7 billion budget, that's not hard to believe. So how is Rockstar pulling this off? Well, the answer lies in a patent filed by Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar's parent company, titled System and Method for Game Object and Environment Generation. This patent outlines a procedural generation system designed for building interiors. Here's how it works. Instead of handcrafting every single room from scratch, Rockstar's system generates interiors using a library of modular assets. Think of it like Lego. You have floor tiles, wall panels, furniture pieces, lighting fixtures, and decorative objects. Each asset is tagged with descriptors: high-end, rustic, modern, abandoned, luxurious. You get the picture here. The system then uses these tags to procedurally assemble interiors that match a specific style. For example, if the game needs to generate a high-end apartment, the system pulls assets tagged as luxurious. Things like marble floors, leather couches, expensive art, floor-to-ceiling windows. If it needs a dingy motel room, it pulls assets tagged as cheap or worn, stained carpets, flickering lights, broken furniture, that kind of thing. The patent even mentions that interiors can evolve over time. So if you rob a store and come back later, the interior might look slightly different. Like a new inventory of items, rearranged furniture, maybe even some repairs if you did some, destruction the last time you were there. And apparently there's some destruction systems they're working on in the game, so maybe they've made some repairs since then. And this procedural stuff isn't just smart from a design perspective, it's really essential because building 700 unique interiors by hand would take years alone and require an absolutely absurd amount of labor and storage space. But with procedural generation, Rockstar can create hundreds of believable, varied interiors using a relatively small set of assets. And because the system follows rules, like bathrooms always having sinks, kitchens always having counters, stuff like that, the results will still feel handcrafted. This technology isn't entirely new though. Games like No Man's Sky and Minecraft have used procedural generation for years. And I've had some comments definitely reminding me that this technology isn't new, but the way it's being implemented in a game like this is new. And applying it to urban interiors in a AAA open world game, that's absolutely insane. And it kind of shows you how Rockstar could realistically achieve the numbers we're hearing. It really takes those out of being just like complete bonkers speculation to, what we're actually probably going to see. Now let's talk about what this means for gameplay, because more interiors aren't just about immersion. They fundamentally change how the game works. Let's start with the heists. In Grand Theft Auto 5, heists were linear, they were kind of lame. You'd follow a set path, hit scripted objects, and escape through a predetermined route. I mean, it was cool, but come on. But with hundreds of accessible interiors, Grand Theft Auto 6's heists could be much more dynamic. Imagine planning a bank robbery. You scope out the building ahead of time, noting that there are 3 floors maybe, 2 stairwells, and a rooftop access point. You decide to enter through the parking garage, take the elevator to the vault level, and escape via the roof using a helicopter. But when things go wrong, and it's Grand Theft Auto 6, so they will, you improvise. You duck into a nearby office building, ride the elevator to the 15th floor, smash through a window, and parachute onto a moving truck. That kind of emergent gameplay is only possible if the world is truly open. And that is something Rockstar has always wanted, especially since Grand Theft Auto 3. That was the first one they were really trying to go all in on being able to approach missions in any way you want. And if you play some of those older titles, they do feel more sandboxy in their approach to getting the objectives done. Even if they are very, old school, rudimentary, that kind of thing, there was still very much that sandbox energy in how you accomplish things. Okay, let's go. You could do some wacky approach to get what you wanted accomplished, and if it worked, and usually it involved blowing up a car or something like that, but if it worked, you were golden. You had freedom and approach. In these more modern Rockstar titles, we've all joked about it. It feels like maybe if you just try to go off the beaten path, or if you've watched Sav's Roundtable, I might have mentioned it on there about how I tried to flank an enemy, I think in Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto, and I ended up failing the mission. So there's some really stupid reasons you can fail missions in the more modern ones, just because they have a lot more things going on. But if you have the sandbox gameplay of the older titles and mix it with these new systems, these incredible graphics, and just, tie it all together in a beautiful package, man, chef's kiss, it's going to be incredible. And that's what hundreds of interiors enable. Then there's robbery. The leaked document mentions over 700 robbable stores. In Grand Theft Auto 5, robbing a store was simple and repetitive. You walked in, aimed a gun, grabbed cash, run. But leaked Grand Theft Auto 6 footage shows a much deeper system. You can search containers, loot specific items, use tools like crowbars and Slim Jims to break into locked areas, and even command your partner to control NPCs while you search for valuables. The leak footage in the Waffle Heist shows the Waffle Heist. But yeah, the leak footage from the Waffle Heist shows Jason using the Eagle Vision ability to scan the environment for loot. He opens containers, stuffs items into a duffel bag, and shares the hall with Lucia. Meanwhile, NPCs with yellow icons over their heads try to call the cops, and Jason has to stop them before the police arrive. Now, I don't know if these icons that I remember seeing were in the alpha footage because, there was a bunch of crap on the screen, and I think it was there so that, the person testing the game could see if it was actually working properly or not. I don't know about all the crap that's going to be on the HUD, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. So all of this stuff I'm mentioning, it's not a gameplay gimmick, it's the core loop. And this kind of thing only works if there are hundreds of locations to rob, each with slightly different layouts and challenges. And it might not even add only emergent gameplay with its systems, but maybe even stuff like emergent storytelling, which is why I haven't had a video out on Monday, because I've been playing RimWorld, which is just absolutely outstanding when it comes to emergent storytelling. Anyways, so let's talk about police chases. In Grand Theft Auto 5, losing the cops was, pretty straightforward. You drove fast, you'd break the line of sight, hide, but with enterable buildings everywhere, chases become infinitely more interesting. So imagine you're being chased down on like a maiden road, and maybe you dip into an alley, just like you would in any other Grand Theft Auto game. You ditch your car, but now you sprint into the shopping mall instead of just running around through alleys. You ride the escalator to the second floor, duck into a clothing store, and hide in the dressing room. Outside, police search the streets, but you're gone. 5 minutes, you walk out the back exit, steal a new car, and disappear. And maybe with some of those clothes from that clothing store. Because apparently there's going to be a disguise system that ties into, the witness system in this game, but that's a whole nother topic. That's the kind of sandbox freedom we need in a Grand Theft Auto game. Man, if they can pull this off, it's going to be outstanding. And it's only possible if the world is truly explorable. Finally, let's talk about just exploring. One of the biggest criticisms I have of Grand Theft Auto 5, and I've already mentioned it, is the world felt hollow. You could admire the architecture, but you couldn't interact with it. And I remember thinking the lighting, especially when they did one of the first remasters or whatever, it looked so good, and I just wanted to go in places and stuff. I wanted to feel immersed in the world, but I just couldn't. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to do that. Every mall, hotel, nightclub, and apartment building you see isn't just set dressing. It's a location you can explore. At least on paper. We'll see how it actually plays out. But again, remember, salt. Lots and lots of salt. But this is looking like what we're actually going to see, guys. So maybe you find a hidden stash in a penthouse. Maybe you stumble into an underground fight club in a warehouse, Maybe you discover a secret meeting in the back room of a pawn shop. Suddenly the map isn't just a place you drive through, it's just filled with places you discover. Just like in Red Dead Redemption 2, do you remember? Like in the different various stores, there'd be robbery opportunities, weird little things like that you could discover. Players love that in Red Dead Redemption 2. I love that. That's why it is my favorite Rockstar title of all time. But let's slow it down a second, because we need to talk about the 70% claim. So is it real? Well, probably not. That's functionally impossible. If Grand Theft Auto 6's map is twice the size of Grand Theft Auto 5, which multiple leaks have claimed, and if it's as dense as Miami, we're looking at somewhere between 10 to 20,000 individual structures. If 70% of those were enterable, that's 7,000 to 14,000 interiors. Even with procedural generation, that's absurd. You would definitely see duplicates and stuff, and also a PS5, there's no way it could run it. It's just not possible. The game files, can you imagine how massive they would be? Everyone's joking about the install size of Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to install it, man, if you could go into that many different interiors. I mean, just the amount of, I can't even imagine. More importantly, it's unnecessary. Do we really need to enter every single house on a suburban street? Probably not. What matters is that the important buildings, shops, banks, hotels, malls, offices are accessible. The places that you would actually go in your day-to-day life, or places that would make sense for you to escape to. And based on the leaks, that's exactly what Rockstar is doing. And I know I was saying, we don't need to go in every neighborhood, house and stuff. I think that would be cool. And Grand Theft Auto San Andreas did do that in 2004, at least very close to that. I'm just saying, it is possible. They did something very similar to this back in 2004. The leaked documents mention of 157 confirmed interiors is believable because that's conservative. It's a realistic number for a game still in development. And the procedural generation patent is believable because it explains how Rockstar can scale beyond what's humanly possible to hand build. So here's my educated guess. With a good helping of salt, Grand Theft Auto 6 will likely have somewhere between 500 and 1,000 enterable interiors, depending on how you count them. That includes shops, malls, restaurants, nightclubs, banks, apartments, and mission-specific locations. Smaller buildings, gas stations, convenience stores, pawn shops will likely all be enterable, possibly using procedural generation to create variety. Larger buildings like skyscrapers, motels, malls will probably have like partial interiors. You'll be able to explore like lobbies, certain floors, key areas, places you would actually go, but maybe not every single room, maybe not the changing rooms and stuff, as cool as that would be. Well, maybe if you're buying clothes, I don't know. Residential homes in suburban areas will probably use a mix of procedural generation and copy-pasted layouts. You'll be able to rob them, but they won't all be unique. And, it's not like everyone's house in real life is unique. I remember growing up, I went into a kid across the street's house and it was a carbon copy of my parents' house, just with a whole Catholic vibe to it. But I don't know what I'm even talking about now. So yes, and you'll probably be able to rob them, but they won't all be unique. And yes, some buildings will still be inaccessible. High-rise apartments, random office towers, and background structures won't all open up, but the sheer volume of explorable spaces will still dwarf anything we've seen before. If GTA 6 can successfully deliver hundreds of enterable buildings using procedural generation, even 1,000 buildings, it will set a new standard for open-world games. Right now, most open-world developers face the same trade-off. You can either have a massive map with shallow interiors or a smaller map with deep interiors. Cyberpunk 2077 chose the former. It's Night City. It's visually stunning, but most buildings are locked. Now, the buildings you can go into, though, they went deep and they look great, and I love Cyberpunk 2077. Spider-Man 2 uses kind of a clever trick called parallax occlusion mapping to create the illusion of interiors through windows, but you can't actually enter them, and that's kind of lame. If Rockstar can prove that procedural generation creates believable, varied interiors at scale, other studios will follow. And so far, I think they've been kind of turned off. I mean, you look at Starfield with its 1,000 planets. Terrible use of procedural generation. I mean, it is cool to some extent, but you can't even fly to the freaking planets. And that's a whole nother story. If you can't tell, I'm a Bethesda fanboy, and I was really looking forward to Starfield, and that's another story. You can go listen to Mr. Matty Plays. He talks about it. So if Grand Theft Auto 6 can pull this off, video games are going to start to be judged by a new metric. Not just how big the map is, but how much of it can you actually explore. And to some extent, that is true. To some extent, that is kind of where we already are with games. But this will become another bar that is expected of your game, not something that just impresses people. Because for years, open world games have prioritized breadth over depth. Grand Theft Auto 6 might be the first game to deliver both. So here's the bottom line. Grand Theft Auto 6 will almost certainly have the most enterable buildings of any Rockstar game ever made. Whether that number is 500, 700, or 1,000, it's a massive leap forward. And the technology Rockstar is using, procedural generation, combined with handcrafted assets, could fundamentally change how open world games are built entirely. But more importantly, this isn't just about numbers, it's about gameplay. It's about being chased by the cops and ducking off into a random apartment building to hide. It's about planning a heist and scouting, different entry points. It's about exploration, finding secret underground tunnels and stuff like that, stumbling into a side mission, going off the beaten path. Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't just giving us more interiors, it's giving us a living, breathing world that reacts to everything we do, and that's the feature that will change open worlds forever. Whew, I got excited there at the end. Can you tell? Anyways, this is normally when I go shout out time and we do a shout out. I do have one shout out because my last video freaking bombed, and that's on me, guys, because I think I went a little bit off my rocker and went into the drama section, everything. You got to remember, I'm still relatively new to all this. You guys aren't here to get depressed. You're here to get excited, and I'm going to keep that going. So let's see. I've got my shout out here somewhere. We have Leon Noir Sr. I think that's how you say that. Or Leon Noir, this guy right here. Shout out to you, buddy. You're the only one who's asked for a shout out since the last video. You guys are making me sad. Everyone was asking for shout outs and nobody wants one. If I still haven't shouted you out though, and I'm dumb and I missed you, let me know down in the comments. I'll shout you out. And if you want to shout out in a future video, comment. I'll shout you out. I'll hook you up, man. I'll shout you out, bro. Anyways, guys, I know that the game is delayed again, but look, Red Dead Redemption 2 was delayed, I think the same amount of times, so it's going to be okay. We're going to get the game. You're most likely going to survive to see it. So don't worry too much about it. Let's use this next year getting excited for the game and hoping it delivers. I think the gameplay will. I'm not so sure about the story for other reasons. But again, this is a hype channel now. We're hype train. Join me on the hype train. And if you want to join me on the hype train, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Well, really just subscribe. If you watch the video, hit the like button. It would help me out a lot. Please. Other than that, guys, here are 2 videos that will continue this hype train. Man, I'm out of it tonight, guys. Anyways, I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, night, week, year, whatever. Just stay safe out there so that you can stay alive for Grand Theft Auto 6. Peace.